Hello, I'm Chris Cummings, CEO of Petra Technologies, and we provide rock-solid IT every day. Today I'd like to provide you with an update to the IoT threats. If you recall, that's the Internet of Things. I first mentioned this during my discussion of public Wi-Fi about 4 months ago in an earlier video. IoT malware has shown continued growth since 2018, but in the first half of 2021, these attacks have increased even faster. IoT attack volume in the first 6 months of 2021 rose 59% over the first 6 months of 2020, a period which itself showed a 50% increase over the same time in 2019. In all, 32.2 million IoT attacks have been recorded by mid-year of 2021. That's compared with 20.2 million during the same period in 2020. This is according to SonicWall's threat report that they released in 2021. In the US, IoT malware attempts have rose 15% to 9.4 million. In other words, attacks on targets in the US now make up nearly a third of all attacks worldwide. This is unfortunate news that comes with a couple of bright spots. First of all, while IoT attacks are up in most places, including North America, which saw a rise of 21%, Europe, which saw a recorded increase of 113%, and Asia, where attacks have skyrocketed to 190%, they weren't up everywhere. South America, Africa, and Australia saw IoT attacks decrease around 9%. Secondly, attacks were higher in Q1 than they were in Q2, meaning that rates are trending downward, at least for now. On the other hand, the first half of 2021 still recorded numbers far above those seen in the first half of 2020. If instead of continuing to fall, the attack volume in 2021 follows the pattern established in 2020, we may be on a track to see a quarter with far more IoT attacks than we have ever experienced before. With 41 billion IoT devices projected to be online by 2027, and with nearly 3/4 of enterprises reporting either full or trial of IoT deployments, cyber criminals are clearly seeing attacks on IoT devices as a growth for their industry and is ripe for exploitation. And some of these criminal exploits have had far-reaching impacts. In February of 2021, an attacker took control of the systems running Oddsmar, Florida's water supply, increasing the amount of sodium hydroxide, or lye, in the water up to 110 times normal levels. Just 2 months later after that, vulnerabilities affecting over 100 million enterprise, consumer, and industrial IoT devices were identified that could allow attackers to take control of them remotely and gain a wider access connected to these networks. While 9 vulnerabilities collectively known as NameWreck, all of these have patches available as of the time of the report in 2021. Many of these IoT devices lack the ability to be easily patched or even patched at all, meaning we may see attacks arise from these vulnerabilities for years into the future. And in early July, researchers discovered a vulnerability in millions of the Schneider Electric programmable logic controllers too. These are used in manufacturing, automation, and utilities and more. That could enable remote attackers to take control and deploy malware to perform remote code execution attacks and more. Vulnerabilities in devices like these, which are connected to systems that could result in large-scale disruption if breached, shine a light on why industries need to act now to ensure that IoT devices are not only more secure, but also easily patchable. And I would also add behind a firewall to help protect them. Regulation to the rescue? Well, the specter of IoT attacks continuing to grow, legislative bodies adopted some legal consideration, strengthening the cybersecurity on these devices during the first half of 2021. So in the UK, In late January of 2021, the UK Department for Digital Culture, Media and Support announced a new law that would ban the use of easy-to-guess default passwords in these IoT devices. Manufacturers would be required to disclose the length of the time that they plan to continue offering security updates for those devices. The law would also mandate a creation of public point contact for reporting of these vulnerabilities, and would require devices to have the ability to receive software updates. Now in Australia, due to a lack of response from manufacturers of lower cost goods, the Australian government announced that it's considering making a mandatory suite of voluntary regulations introduced into this last September. So these regulations would outline at least a set of minimum cybersecurity requirements for consumer-grade smart devices. Now in the US, in late March of 2021, legislation known as the Cyber Shield Act was reintroduced in Congress. If passed, law would create security standards for IoT devices based on recommendations from an advisory committee made up of cybersecurity experts from the government, academia, and the private sector in the US. Now, devices meeting these regulations would be allowed to label their products with a mark indicating that they actually have met the standards and the products were actually more secure. So, until next time, find us on Facebook, YouTube, and on the web at Petra Tech IT. If you found any of this information useful, please share it. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them into the comments section and I'll address them in a future video. Thanks.